5-kilometer road in Kauru local government area of the state. He completed the road project will link Pambuogwa to Kauru and other parts of the state, while the administration is intensifying construction of the road as it holds the key to enormous potential, especially access to market for farmers. Let's listen to the governor.
Our administration rural transformation agenda is being aggressively pursued because it holds the key to unlocking the enormous potential of the state in the agricultural and informal sectors, as well as promptly addressing the problems of poverty, unemployment, and insecurity. We are equally addressing the infrastructure deficit in areas inhabited by the urban poor. We are keen on bridging the urban-rural divide by upgrading our road infrastructure.
Now we've seen what's happening in Kaduna State. BKO, let's have your thoughts on this, because we understand this infrastructure is expected to enhance, movement of people from farms to markets and, of course, reduce post-harvest losses. This is perhaps a great development in Kaduna State, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, the governor has his attention focused on inner city roads as well as roads that connect local governments to one another. And in this case, this Pambegwa Kauru road that has been abandoned for more than 20 years, this governor has flagged up the construction, and it is his desire to banish the problem of post-harvest losses as a result of farmers finding it difficult to transport their produce to urban centers, where, of course, there's sufficient market for them. So he believes that once this road is constructed, it will reduce even the cost of transportation and address the problem of post-harvest losses that farmers in the area suffer from. It will also link two local governments that together, that is Kauru and Kubau. So if you've been monitoring developments in Kaduna, you see that the governor is focused on delivering road infrastructure within the timelines that he has set for contractors. So all that the governor requires from the people is for them to cooperate with those contractors so that those projects can be delivered in good time. The other day, he also flagged off the construction of a lithium processing company. We all know that lithium is a good money spinner at this time because the batteries
for
our phones, even for our cars, for our solar panels, you need lithium batteries, So the governor, working with the private sector, has flagged off a company, a lithium processing plant in the state. So we are seeing some measure of
infrastructure?
Yes, achievements in the area of infrastructure and even agric development. This is what we want to see because Kaduna has had its fair share of good governors who left good legacies. Governor Sani, being an activist, has no reason to not deliver because the people expect nothing less than that from him as somebody who fought for the ordinary people for years. So finding himself in the saddle as a governor Its policies must be people-centered, and it must be able to make its mark felt in significant proportion.
Absolutely.
If I can use that word.
Language, no? Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, people-centered policies, that is the key focus that the governor of Kaduna State should be focused on. Paul, if you're to look at this situation, one other factor one would say why these infrastructure fails to last is due to maintenance.
Yeah.
So could you speak to that on what you think the government of Kaduna need to do to ensure that these infrastructures, when put in place, are also maintained for future generations and not just for the time when he's the governor of the state?
Well, you don't build infrastructure to be destroyed. You don't build it to leave it to waste. Otherwise, your efforts have been rubbished. Right. So what I expect is that there should be a road maintenance system. And apart from that, a road maintenance system, there should be constant checks on the road, because over time, roads suffer with damage, and so they have to wear and tear. Yeah, they have to constantly make sure that if there are holes, potholes, and all of that. And the governor, you mentioned the fact that it's a people-centered program. Well, that's what is elected for. So you don't expect something else. The purpose of being in governance is to impact on the people. It's not by, nobody's going to judge you by how many academic degrees or professional certificates you have in your bag. You're going to be assessed based on the impact you have made on the people. So for now, we can say, well, from what we see, the governor has done, he's in the second year already. You should keep it up. You should ensure that the materials that are used for whatever infrastructure is building are up to standard, up to standard. But one more thing I just want to say is I also expect that the governor will look at minimum wage, because he has not implemented that yet. He has not implemented that yet. In fact, the civil servants still, their last pay was still based on. But I know that states are setting up committees to implement that minimum wage. We hope that it does that very soon.
Right. Yeah. Let's quickly move on to our next focus on discussion in the program, where the nightmare occasioned by the COVID-19 shutdown in 2020 is still fresh in our minds. Another outbreak of monumental proportion is hovering in the air, and humanity must brace up to curtail it. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed 40 cases of Mpox in the country. As a matter of public health emergency, the agency revealed that though no death has been recorded so far, Bayelsa is leading 33 other states with 5 confirmed cases, while Cross River, Ogun, and Lagos all trailed behind with 4 confirmed cases. Now, this brings the number of cases in the country to 40, and the Director General of NCDC, Jide Idris, said about 2,863 confirmed cases and 517 deaths across 13 African countries have been reported in 2024 alone, that is this year. Well, this is as a health risk we mustn't ignore. BKO, indeed, this is a worrying development, knowing that this is a rare viral infection, a zoonotic disease, which is a transmission from animal to humans.
Yes.
What can you talk about this?
Yes, all I can say is that we have to move quickly to ensure that this disease is dealt with promptly, because we can't afford to let it begin to run riot in Nigeria as it has done in Rwanda, Uganda, Kenya, Congo, where 517 deaths have already been recorded. 517 deaths in 2024 alone is a significant number. And yes, fair enough, no death has been recorded in our country, but we don't have to wait. The job of the NCDC is to ensure that Nigerians are duly informed and that steps are taken to ensure that this doesn't begin to kill people in Nigeria as it's been killing people, especially in East Africa. And states like Lagos, Abuja, Enugu, Kano, Rivers, Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Adama, and Taraba have already been put on high alert. The possibility of their citizens being infected by this disease. Some are calling it the new COVID-19 because it's assuming the level of a global
pandemic.
I won't say pandemic, a global emergency.
Right.
Yes, emergency because if steps are not taken, it will begin to spread. This was how COVID began.
Yeah.
You know, some of us felt that, oh, Africa, our weather is hot, COVID will not survive here. And we watched it killing people in Africa, killed many people in Africa, especially South Africa, killed so many people. So, and the research shows that it manifests in form of fever, muscle aches, sore throat. Those are the earliest symptoms that you see, and then it moves on to headache, back pain, muscle aches, low energy, and rashes. The rashes, skin rashes, usually start from the face. You know, once you see those signs, you know that you have to move quickly to ensure that you defeat this problem, this health emergency. It was discovered in 1958 in Denmark, in monkeys meant for research. And the first reported human case was a 9-month-old boy in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that was in 1970. So it's been around for some time, first discovered in 1958 in monkeys, and then discovered in a human being for the first time in 1970. So it's not exactly new. It's not exactly new as a disease, but this year it has assumed a life of its own, and it's beginning to take lives, especially across 13 African countries. And that's why the World Health Organization wants everybody to jump in to ensure that it is defeated.
Right.
COVID-19 was defeated in the final analysis because the world treated it as a health emergency that it was. Everybody played his part. And at the end of the day, COVID-19 is no longer
a threat to human existence.
Yes, people still suffer from it, but it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Absolutely. I think one of the U.S. athletes even tested positive to it during the Olympics. That's the world 200 meters champion. You know, they tested positive to it. The result was out after the 200 meters race where he came third. So it's not as if it's been banished, but it's been kept under control. This is what we want Dr. Jide Idris and his team to do their best, working with state governments, working with federal agencies to ensure that we defeat Mpox and ensure that it doesn't
spiral out of control.
Yes, in our country.
Right. So, Paul, already we understand the country is expected to receive about 10,000 doses of vaccine. But the major question or the major factor here is we understand that this disease is transmitted from animals to man, which is a zoonotic disease. But then again, the preventive measure is that if you do not want to catch it, avoid sick animals, dead animals. And this question raises some people who have this love for bushmeat. You know, so do you think there should be more sensitization in this regard? Because there are a lot of us out there who do not fancy taking the regular meat. Well, we love bush meat. And it seems to be the easiest target for these kind of
it's even beyond bush meat, because if someone has contracted it, you can get it from the person. Mm-hmm. My problem is that people are not aware, unlike the way it was during COVID, when COVID broke out. In fact, initially everybody was panicking, but people are not aware. Everybody is just going about their normal business as if nothing is happening. And people must also be aware that the current strain of the virus is dead there. Actually, Mpox is seen as less serious than COVID-19, but the current strain is deadlier. WHO sees it as an emergency. There is ACDC too, African Center for Disease Control and Prevention, sees it as an emergency. But Nigerians are just going about their normal business. During COVID-19 outbreak, you would see people selling alcohol-based sanitizers everywhere. I mean, if you were to get into the hospital, you would have to use sanitizer. I don't see that sensitization. Meanwhile, this disease can come through even share towel with someone.
Has already been infected.
Yes, it has infected. Yes. Towel, bedding, clothing, and even utensils. Even contaminated surfaces, like your phone, like doorknobs. People are advised to, disinfect surfaces regularly, but many people are not aware. This is already a disease that has killed 622 people. We have 622 deaths across 13 African countries. Now, yes, we've not had any death, but we don't want to have the first the first case in Nigeria. It can be prevented. When COVID came to Nigeria, I felt we were caught napping because, we're hearing about it. People were saying that Africa would not be able to deal with it and all of that. And then we had our first case. I think that was Italian, and it continued to spiral. But thank God we dealt with it. But at this level now, we can still deal with it. We have confirmed cases, 40 of them, but we have hundreds of suspected cases, with Ogun leading the chart. I think the chart was displayed earlier. So what I expect to happen is NCDC should step up its sensitization campaign. You understand what I'm saying? And not only NCDC, governments, state governments, even at the local government level. Now I want to begin to see even churches. They should probably they should do what they used to do when during the COVID-19 outbreak, that, they put basin for people to wash their hands, sanitizers, hospitals. I even expect the health institutions to lead the way, but now you can saunter into the hospital, nobody is.
No one is suspecting.
Nobody cares, We should not wait until we begin to experience deaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and more deaths before we start taking things seriously.
Taking things seriously, it is that we should, ensure that we do not have more cases in our hands. Well, let's quickly move on to our next focus, where the just concluded protests over economic hardship was an eye-opener for us as a country. Now, the call for a military intervention that dogged the protests continues to dominate the headlines. Well, we'll have more on this topic in just a moment. Stay with us.
And cable, great quality, now with the new look.
Chief of Army Staff Conference is holding this year in Uyo. With the arrival of the host governor, the conference kick-started. As he takes the podium, Governor Eno commended the Nigerian Army and other security agencies for their commitment to the peace and security of the state and the nation. He advises them to remain apolitical. As he says, his administration in the past donated 100 million naira to widows of fallen heroes in the state to improve their lives.
As the army of our great nation, your role in securing the nation is paramount, and the government is to do all that is possible to ensure that the army is well equipped. That is why we created the Joint Maritime Operations Task Force and procured and deployed 14 patrol gunboats in response to the literal nature of our state and the threat posed by sea pirates, militants, and kidnappers within our waterways.
Then, the Chief of Army Staff, during his speech, noted that food and social security issues can result in physical security challenges. He stated that the Nigerian Army, under his leadership, has launched several welfare programs for members of the force. The Army Chief states the commitment of the force to boost food availability in the country by supporting the federal government in its economic prosperity plan.
The Nigerian Army will not allow itself to be used to undemocratically sell some interest to power. As a service that received the most image bashing as a fallout of previous military interventions in Nigeria, the Nigerian Army is now poised to losing the new prestige it has painstakingly built in the past 25 years.
3 beneficiaries received checks under the welfare scheme of the force, and the week-long event will climax on Friday with a closing ceremony. Miriam Daniels, TVC News, Uyo, Akwa Ibom State.
Welcome back. You're still on to Journalist Hangout. A while ago, you just saw the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, reacting to the concerns about military intervention. And he was saying the army will not succumb to calls to disrupt democratic governance in the country. Well, General Lagbaja said that the Nigerian army is still struggling to restore its integrity after many years of military rule. Hence, it is not ready to lose its prestige built in the past 25 years of staying out of power. BKO, let's get your thoughts on this statement credited to the Chief of Army Staff against the backdrop of calls for military takeover. What do you make of this?
I think that the Chief of Army Staff chose the right occasion, the occasion of the conference, the quarterly conference, Chief of Army Staff conference, to let Nigerians know that in spite of the pressure from misguided people, many of whom have not experienced military rule in their lives, they know nothing about military rule, that they would not be swayed. During the looting spree in some parts of northern Nigeria, because I would not call looting protests. When people gather simply to loot, it's not a protest. During the looting spree, some people were calling for military intervention. Some were even waving the flag of Russia, which some people try to mislead us that, oh, it's actually the flag of the Nigerian forces. We are not fools. Some of those people even granted interviews where they were calling for intervention by Russia. So don't deceive yourself that it is Nigerian Armed Forces flag that they were carrying. We know what the Nigerian Armed Forces flag looks like. A Nigerian Armed Forces flag without the colors of the Nigerian Army, which is green. What kind of Nigerian Armed Forces flag is that? The Nigerian Army is the biggest of the armed forces. Yet their own color is not represented in what you called I mean, ignorant people coming on social media to further to mislead the Nigerian people. Remember, before the inauguration of this administration, some misguided young people went to the Ministry of Defense to ask for military rule. Again, you cannot blame people who are in their diapers when the military was in charge in Nigeria. Some of us lost our friends. Bagada Kalto was a man who was in the same zone with me at the news magazine. We used to sit down, do editorial meetings. He would bring ideas. I would write. Sunday Dare, the former Minister of Sports, was also one of us. He was in Jos, I was in Kano. Bagada was in Kaduna. He was wasted during the military rule. They didn't just waste civilians, they wasted their own colleagues through phantom coups and all. They will cook up coups and go and waste people. If a general does not like you, they can accuse you of plotting a coup. You add your name to the list. The military destroyed itself by venturing into the murky waters of politics. They don't want that anymore. Those misguided people trying to get the military to get involved in politics, they should be ashamed of themselves. They should sit down. Have they seen what it looks like? They say, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And I just get it.
Some people locked up in jail, they never recovered. They suffered mental ailment as a result of that. Our colleagues, journalists, were routinely being thrown into jail. Some tortured to death. And some little boys and girls will sit down and will be calling for military. What do you know about military rule? The same way you know so little about your country because you don't read. You don't know about military rule. The election may not have gone the way you wanted it. But all you need to do is be patient. Time is a gentleman.
Right.
4 years will soon be upon us. Use your vote to remove the government that you don't like, not to stupidly call for military rule. Well, I'm happy that the soldiers are not going to be misled. They said, no, we are happy where we are. We are in a good place. Don't try to lure us into politics. They were shouting in Kano and other places, Kumukeso, Molkin soldier Mukeso is the military rule that we want. It is you. When they see soldiers in their trucks, they will say, Kumukeso, it's you that we want. And I was just looking at those boys. Some of them, maybe they were high on drugs. So, I'm happy with what General Lagbaja has said, and he chose the right occasion.
Right.
We don't want military rule. The military killed my friend, Bagauda Kalto. We know that. They killed themselves too. Some of them could not stay in Nigeria the moment power changed. Some of them, like Colonel Omenka, they ran away. Omenka was fond of boasting that he would waste people. In fact, that was where I had the word waste being used to describe killing someone. Frank Omenka was torturing people mindlessly inside the DMI cell here in Lagos. I mean, people who did not, they did not even read about that era. It's not in their habit to read. Many people, even journalists.
It's very unfortunate.
There are so many unreading journalists today. And that's why you come and demonstrate a false sentiment on TV and other places, because their worldview is a shrinking one. Why won't your worldview be shrinking when you choose not to nourish yourself by reading? No?
Indeed, we have a lot to do
If people read,
sensitizing our young ones.
they will know that a military rule is not an ideal situation.
Right.
Or a police state. We don't want a police state. What Kagame has in Rwanda is a police state. Nobody can publicly come and say, look, Mr. President, you are useless, or we don't want to. You won't live to see the next day. in Nigeria, it's easier to abuse the president than to abuse the local government chairman. Because the local government chairman will send his talks after you. Tinubu will not send talks after you. They will be looking at you. And you abuse him. They go on TikTok, they abuse him. The freedom that people have on social media, if the military comes to power, they will take away that freedom. Honestly. I mean, these guys are kidding. They don't know what they're talking about. Indeed. They will take away that freedom.
Indeed, like you said, be careful what you wish for. Oh. If I would recollect that.
They won't get it this time.
Absolutely. But you know, let me just say amen in this regard.
Yeah.
But you know, what beyond this now, beyond what we are praying not to happen, what concrete strategies would you think can be employed now to counter this perception or this clamor rather for military takeover, especially among young Nigerians?
It's already being done.
Beyond
the chief of army staff,
rhetoric.
the chief of army staff spoke.
Right.
I think people have to be enlightened. One of the problems we have in this country is people don't have a sense of history. BK it's like he just expressed my thoughts. You understand? The people that are being put up to this are the Gen Z. Can we now begin to tell them? We must tell them about Bagadakato that you mentioned. We must tell them about the alleged state-sponsored killings. Kudira Tabiola, Paafe Riwani, Harry Marshall. We must tell them about the Decree 4 of 1984 that was applied retroactively to jail 2 journalists, Tunde Thompson and Kauru Erabo, just because they wrote an exclusive story about reshufflement of ambassadors. We must tell them. BK will talk about
a big deal about
BK will talk about even soldiers being killed. Have they read about Mama Vasta?
Yes.
That intellectual soldier that was killed, that was, over a so-called coup.
Phantom coup.
By IBB, his friend. Do they know that there will be a serious clampdown on social media if there is military? Do they know that there is no National Assembly to perform an oversight function under a military rule? Do they know that decrees are promulgated based on the whims and caprices of... Do they understand?
Replace the Constitution.
No more Constitution, no National Assembly. Do they know that you can't just speak anyhow against... Do they understand that military president, or what they call... Okay, one call himself a president, Baba IBB. Have they heard about Abacha? The man who wanted to even transport himself to a civilian president, and he bullied 5 political parties into adopting him. And Bola called those 5 political parties 5 fingers of a leprous hand. They don't understand anything.
Do they even know who Bola is?
All they do on the social media is to be abusing. And they'll be doing TikTok and be displaying curves and curvatures and be talking nonsense. That's all they know. Look, if you want to, let's tell people that the best way to change a government you don't like is through
the
ballot. If you think you're not satisfied, there's no denying that there's economic hardship. Let's get in. See, we must be able to treat things differently. There's economic hardship. If you feel very strongly that this government needs to be changed, you are entitled to your opinion. But you must change this government through a legal means. And I think we need to start talking. Honestly, I think this government should develop some more political will.
Right.
Who are the people putting up these young people to it? The other time I was here, Citizens was anchoring. We talked about this protesting, that we should not treat people with kid gloves. People were holding Russian flags. They were even chanting the name of Putin.
Yes.
The name of the Russian president. And you think that is just something we should overlook?
Come and tell us that, no, it's Nigerian Armed Forces flag.
Simply because you are disgruntled. You can be disgruntled, but it should not get to the point where you begin to call for a military takeover or calling on a foreign government to take over. Come
and rescue us.
There was protest in Britain, you understand, over a little boy who lost his senses and killed people. Some people were even thinking that it was people from a religion that did it. And he started, I didn't hear anybody say Russia should come and take over, or France should come and take over, or US should come and take over. Why are we talking that? Why are we behaving like this? We know that there is hardship in this country. Everybody admits it. You understand? We can disagree with the methods of the government. We can disagree with the policies. We can have a robust discussion about that. And we have been doing that here. Where we need to praise government, we praise government. Where we need to blame government, we blame government. And let the narrative continue. You understand? But to call anybody calling for a military takeover is a criminal. I should be treated as such. The government should go after. This is what the DSS knows.
Subversion.
Yes, subversion. Now, government should go after people who are putting up these young people to it.
No, the good thing is at least the people behind the sewing of the Russian flag.
Yes,
Been arrested.
yes,
Yes,
been
all
arrested.
of them have been arrested. Now, a lot of the looters were arrested and people are calling looters protesters. How do you call looters protesters? Did they not arrest people, such people in the UK too? In Liverpool and other places where people looted shops in the name of protest, they were also arrested.
That's how it should be now.
Dozens of them were arrested. And they where people blocked roads that people should use, where they blocked roads, in the UK, they were arrested. If you arrest them in Nigeria, they will politicize it. Nobody has the right to make life difficult for another person in the name of protest. You have no right. If I must rush my wife to hospital, you must not block the road because you are protesting. You have the right to protest as much as I have the right to not protest. This is what they don't talk about. They always tell us, oh, the right to protest is enshrined in the Constitution. But the Constitution also outlines limitations to the exercise of those rights. And every lawyer properly trained should know this, though many of them don't talk about it. Lawyers who are telling us that if you do not score 25% in Abuja, you are not eligible to be president. And we asked them, okay, show us one parallel across the world. Which country in the world would draft that kind of constitution? That a tiny portion of your country must win before you can be president. So if somebody was fortunate, one powerful candidate wins 36 states and he didn't win Abuja because Abuja had a very strong candidate that the people rallied and voted for. He didn't get 25% there. So that person is not qualified to be president. I mean, the level of pedestrian thinking that we saw in 2023, may God never get us to see such level of banal thinking again. Because even people that we respected in the not euphoria now, just buffeted by their inner desire to show a lack of objectivity. They started telling us you must have 25% in Abuja. Even after Supreme Court ruled on it, some of them are still talking about it today. I have a friend who is based abroad, he's still talking about it, and I look at him, I say, look, you lost all the respect that I have for you because where you are based, they also practice democracy. And there's no portion of their law that says you must win one tiny state before you can be president.
You know, the issue that still stares us in the face is governance, which many Nigerians are saying that we are yet to get. But still, these concerns are part of what needs to be addressed. If at all we are to say the military should stay in the barracks.
Whether we suffer from misrule
or not,
maladministration or not, nothing should ever make people think that the military is the option. For a thinking person, somebody who can engage his thinking faculty efficiently, should never think that the military, no matter what we are going through, because even this hardship we are talking about now is a very recent thing. At least the level of hardship that we're going through now is very recent. Hardship had been there since for so long. Even Sani Ade sang about hardship 40 years ago. He should the win one, Agbado, Sierra Lodja, in Sani Ade. He sang it.
It's an age-long thing.
Yes. Sani Ade sang about it more than 40 years ago. Hardship is not a new thing. Right. The level of hardship that we are going through now, Babajide Otitoju will say yes, is of a higher level. That is the truth. If we say it, we'll still die one day. If we don't say it, we'll still die. The level of hardship is much higher, I admit. But it should never push anyone
into calling for a military takeover?
Capable of thinking constructively to say the military is the
answer.
Is the answer. No. And it's not only in Nigeria that people are facing hardship. Are they not facing hardship in Kenya? Why did they have to protest? In the course of their protest, did they call for military rule? Did you see them waving the flag of Russia? Did you see them? I saw. And those guys, their masters are protesting. And they are very well organized. They didn't do the way we do it, that they said 2 days a week, so that in the course of protest, they can also work and earn a living. But I didn't see them waving Russian flag, that somebody is deceiving himself that it is Nigerian Armed Forces flag. You know?
I
didn't see them.
Your final thoughts?
I think we should make history very compulsory in the schools, honestly. If we go back into history, the military rule has never corrected whatever imperfections you find in the civil rule. You understand what I'm saying? In 1966, whatever excuses the military had, they couldn't do it. You see, we had litany of coups.
They set us back.
They set us back. And then when we came back to democracy, you had Alhaji Shehu Shagari. Okay, he was being accused of corruption, this, that. Military took over and still set us back.
Was military not corrupt? Who has stolen money? The way Abacha has stolen money.
In other words, we need to have history.
Who has stolen money? Where Abacha has stolen money?
Military rule is not a solution to misgovernance.
It's not.
The way yes, we can protest against misgovernance. We can change a government that does not govern well, but there is a way to do it. It can never be through military takeover. It can never. We must never have that in this country. But BK said, be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely.
You might just get it. You will not get it this time in this country, in the name of Jesus.
Okay, let's move on.
We will not get it in Jesus' name.
Our own spirit will not allow them.
We're moving on to our next topic now. Now, the crisis rocking the Labour Party is deepening, and a new twist in the crisis is as the national chairman of the party, Julius Abure, and its only governor, Alex Oti of Abia State, are at daggers drawn. Now, this was after Governor Oti revealed his intention to convene a National Executive Committee NEC meeting on the 31st of August to dissolve the National Executive Council, the State Executive Council, Local Government Executive Council, and Ward Executive Council of the party on the grounds that their tenures had expired. But Abure wasn't pleased with this action, reminding the governor that it is not within his purview to make such decisions. Abure insisted that it's not the responsibility of the governor to convene a NEC meeting, but that of the national chairman and the national secretary. Hence, he should stop meddling in the party's affairs. Let's share the story by TVC News at Demola Lawrence with you.
The Labour Party national chairman anger is stirred by the recent meeting with Governor Alex Oti, where the Abia State governor declared his intention to convene a National Executive Committee meeting on the August 31st to dissolve National Executive Council, State Executive Council, Local Government Executive Council, and Ward Executive Council on the grounds that their tenure had expired.
The National Working Committee also notes that assuming without conceding that the tenure of the current National Working Committee has even expired, we must state clearly that it is not the responsibility of Dr. Alex Oti as governor of Abia State to convene a NEC meeting for the purposes of setting up a caretaker committee. It is still the responsibility of the national chairman and the national secretary of the party to convene such a meeting.
He also told journalists that the National Working Committee of the party has established a disciplinary committee to henceforth and sanction any erring members on who make decisions that could undermine the party.
The party will not hesitate henceforth to discipline any member of the party, however highly placed, who is not ready to obey the constitution of the party and indeed obey the lawful directive of the leadership of the party. In this regard, the National Working Committee went ahead to set up a standing disciplinary committee. Consequently, it is our view that for anybody to hold the opinion that there is a vacuum in the leadership of the party is not only mischievous, but a deliberate attempt to cause panic, to cause chaos, and to disrupt the smooth workings of our great party, the Labour Party. Number 9, the National Working Committee of the Labour Party urges all members of the party to play by the rules, pay respect to the national leadership of the party and the party executives at all levels, and respect the party constitution.
However, the Labour Party chairman disclosed that until the recent omission of the party from INEC, discussions with political parties, there had not been rift with the commission. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Abuja.
Now, BKO, this is a new development in the Labour Party. With this rift now, one wonders what is left of Labour Party. What do you make of this continued rift?
I feel for the Labour Party because it's clear that the power people within the party are tired of Julius Abure. And I'm sure Julius Abure knows that. Because when he organized that convention on the 27th of March this year, all the key elements within the party stayed away. They stayed away. If you have only one governor in Labour Party, if the governor is staying away from your events, if Peter Obi too, he chose not to go, and your National Assembly members too stayed away, that's a clear message that they are sending to you, that we are tired of you, leave us alone. And he's facing legal battles arising from accusations of against him, accusations of forgery and all that. They substituted the forged documents and stamps of the party, and people who are not supposed to be candidates were substituted in place of those who actually won primaries. So this battle has always been there. Obi actually pushed that he should organize a convention that brings everybody on board. But that was not what happened. Apart from the obedience who are quarreling with him, Labour itself, that's NLC. You know, they had to picket the Labour Party secretariat. You know, they too want to take control of the party. So the battle for the soul of Labour Party is alive and well. That battle is on. Because if I'm confused about the role of the NLC in this, because Abure said that OT took the decision to convene a convention on August 31 because of what INEC said earlier, that the tenure of the President WC of the party and at the state level had expired. But he is saying no, that the governor has no power to call a convention. Unfortunately, because it's just one governor. Yes, you could say it may not succeed. But in the APC, it was governors that came together and sacked their national chairman and put one of their own as acting national chairman and extended his stay by 6 months. Governors taking all those decisions. And when they were tired of their own colleagues that they put there, they were still the same people that came and said, no, now we must do a convention. This person must go. So governors have the power to run their parties. That is the difference between the political parties of the 80s
and the present day.
Yes. In those days, the Awolowo era, which governor would look into Awolowo's face or look into Adisa Akinloye's face? Because the party sponsored people for election. These days, people sponsor themselves to contest election. They even bribe party members. And once they bribe you, you have to leave them alone. So things have changed. Parties used to sponsor election. These days, it's individuals who are sponsoring themselves. So your grip on them, your influence on them, will have shrunk because you did not help him to win. You did not give him money. If you gave him money, you still retain some control, some influence. So this, a lot has changed, really. But I wonder how much longer
that they can continue with this.
Yes, Julius Abure can continue. Now that he's fighting the governor, he's even issuing threats that now the NWC will punish anybody who goes against party, no matter how big. You know, he's indirectly talking about the governor. Will he suspend the governor?
Well, it's a really a worrying situation, knowing that the Labour Party really garnered a lot of attention, or let's say support from the part of the general public. But then again, there's this perception that APC would likely take over Labour Party in 2027. That is on this perception of the Deputy House of Representatives, that's Benjamin Kauru. Do you see this happening?
Well, I see Labour Party not being able to improve on its gains. That's what I see. Because for the first time, because of the obedience, the obedience movement, Labour Party for the first time in its life was able to get 6 seats in the Senate, I think 34 in the House of Reps, has a governor. Now, you know, Labour Party caused, and the candidate of Labour Party caused a major upset. He defeated Bola Tinubu in Lagos State. It had never happened. Obasanjo could not do it. Obasanjo, almighty Obasanjo could not do it. But Peter Obi did it. What I would have expected is for Labour Party to improve on its gains. But I can tell you, if things continue like this, Labour Party will not be able to repeat the feat. So if APC or whatever party, you know, is able to emasculate Labour Party, who do you blame? Labour Party has itself to blame.
Absolutely.
Labour Party has not managed this success
very
well.
Absolutely. So yes, you understand.
And what is Labour Party without the obedience?
Absolutely. But indeed, Labour Party needs to improve on its gains from what you've stated so far. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your insights on the show. Paul Dada, as well as Babajide Kolade Otitoju. We appreciate your insights on the show. Well, that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch a repeat broadcast of it tonight at 11. Join us again from Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Esther Mapariola. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.